Breaking news, as we suggested this morning, Donald Trump is now dropping the hammer on ABC, hitting them where it hurts. You can say, fire Jimmy Kimmel all you want, but unless you use the bully pulpit, nothing's ever going to happen. ABC does want us dead. They don't care about us. They'll laugh at our coffins and our graves and our grieving widows, and they've proven this time and time again. They'll make assassination jokes. They won't apologize for it. And so it's time to actually attack ABC in a way that they understand, which is their business model. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I called out Glenn Beck this morning. Glenn can come get some. I'm actually going to go on Glenn's show tomorrow morning, I think, in order to debate this. Glenn Beck pulled the whole, we freedom of speech card. That's not true. You know? He says Kimmel has the right to speak and say incredibly stupid, tasteless things. It's unfunny and without a federal crackdown. That's not true. No, this is not the exercise of raw power that is necessary in order to quell this. And the reason I'm doing this is because, well, Glenn Beck could be the next victim. I could be the next victim of this. Charlie Kirk's dead. Donald Trump's on his 4th, 5th, 9th assassination. Baker's dozen assassination attempts. Multiple friends of mine who live in the White House, who work in the White House, have to live on military bases because there are so many threats against them and their family. I said, no, Glenn, you're wrong. ABC has a federal broadcast license. This allows ABC access to billions of dollars of taxpayer-funded infrastructure to send programming into every home. That's why when you get a TV, you can turn on ABC and you get it for free. You have to pay for Fox News. You have to pay for ESPN. You have to pay for cable packages for these things. You get ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS for free because of these systems. The Blaze doesn't have this. My Show doesn't have this. Fox News doesn't have this. ABC, NBC, and PBS do. We are paying for Jimmy Kimmel's Trump and Charlie Kirk assassination jokes with our tax dollars by force by the federal government. There are strict decency and public interest broadcast rules that come with these lavish taxpayer-funded broadcast license privileges. Jimmy Kimmel broke those rules, and the FCC has every right to crack down, and they should. And now they have. Look at this. Just exactly what we were calling for. FCC orders review of ABC's broadcast licenses. The agency said the review was related to the network's diversity and inclusion policies, but it came amid a fight with the host, Jimmy Kimmel. Let's go ahead and read. Federal regulators on Tuesday orders a review of all stations owned by ABC, an extraordinary move to pressure a major television network whose programming has frequently angered President Trump. The agency overseeing the review, Federal Communications Commission, said in a filing the review was related to an investigation into ABC's DEI policies. But it came in the middle of a fight between Trump and Jimmy Kimmel. Okay. The FCC action represented an escalation by the Trump administration, the president, to punish major media outlets for their coverage. Mr. Trump has personally sued several organizations, including the New York Times, sued ABC. ABC settled with him. Millions of dollars. Trump's FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, has repeatedly threatened to take action against broadcasters, including to take away their valuable station licenses. His agency's actions on Tuesday was the first direct step towards potentially doing so. It cuts deep. It's extremely difficult for the government to take away a station's right to broadcast. It must be able to make a convincing case that the stations had shown a pattern of violating the rules and regulations. Even if the FCC ultimately decided to block the renewal of ABC's station licenses, the network would have ample resources to fight in the courts, may be able to continue to broadcast. The federal government has never before ordered such a sweeping review of major television network licenses, which allow companies to broadcast in local markets. Told that ABC News owns 8 of the more than 200 local stations that carry its programming across the country in vital markets like New York, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia. This is awesome. Look at this. Here's the order right there. These are the television stations that they ordered a review on. The FCC is investigating the Walt Disney Company and the American Broadcasting Company, ABC, subsidiaries for compliance with its obligations as a licensed broadcaster. And by the way, Brendan Carr's been talking about this on our show for a long time. To say that this is like directly tied to the Kimmel stuff, I don't think is true. He's been talking about this ever since they found out that Disney and ABC was hiring people based on their skin color, based on their sex, based on whatever pronouns they wanted to use that day, whether they pee in a kitty litter box, and so on. The FCC is investigating Disney's local ABC affiliates to see if they comply with federal broadcasting law. There's a big story to follow If they ripped away their local broadcast licenses, then you would not be able to broadcast ABC programming on these stations. The stations would have to be sold, I guess. Very interesting. The FCC is preparing to challenge the licenses of ABC affiliates. Following Jimmy Kimmel's expectant widow, Kimmel seemed spooked last night over this, going on defense and making up a bunch of BS stories. Disney is standing by Jimmy Kimmel right now, but it's not going to be a great look for them because this isn't the only thing, as we've been talking, I've been texting and emailing and trying to get a takedown, like a breakdown on this. This is just one of like dozens of measures that Disney has before the FCC or antitrust. And Disney has a bunch of deals that they're trying to get done. They're the biggest media company in the world. Disney, ABC and Jimmy Kimmel Show is nothing. I mean, it's pennies. It's nothing compared to what they make in, Disney parks or ESPN deals or NFL deals. It's a monster company with so many different octopus arms. So to let this thing be the thing that stops them from creating shareholder value, and Disney took a hit yesterday in the stock market, is a very, very bad deal. Brendan Carr on Disney's license. You have a license. There's a lot of options. Licenses come to you ever so often. You can accelerate when a license comes to you and say, hey, we have significant concerns, the value of conducting our operations. We want to review your license now and decide whether you're in the public interest. If we find that a broadcaster hasn't been doing that, it means we're going to do a hearing, says Brendan Carr. So again, Brendan Carr has been pretty consistent on this. He's been saying this. He's been saying this on my show for quite a while and talking about, like, for instance, another show from Disney, like The View, and saying The View is going to get reviewed as well on the same grounds. This is another Disney product. This is something that is also going to be very, very dangerous for Disney because it's just going to be completely indefensible because what they're putting out here is propaganda slop. Here's Brendan Carr saying exactly that on our program a few weeks ago.
I want to reinvigorate the public interest. And what people don't understand is that the broadcasters, and you've gotten this right, are entirely different than people that use other forms of communication. They have a license granted by us at the FCC, and that comes with it an obligation to operate in the public interest. And we can get into some ways that we've been trying to reinvigorate the public interest and some changes that we've seen. But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
This is a clear-cut case. What would you like to see done at ABC?
Well, look, I think what you said there strikes me as a very reasonable, minimal step that can be taken. I mean, obviously, look, there's calls for Kimmel to be fired. I think, you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. And again, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at. And again, we may ultimately be called to be a judge on that. But yes, this also strikes me as sort of conduct that to some extent shows some sort of desperate irrelevance. I mean, we're sort of exiting an era where the three main legacy broadcast networks could control and dictate the narrative to the American people. And one of the things that President Trump did when he ran for office, he ran directly at that legacy media establishment. And he smashed the facade that they get to control what we say, what we think, the narrative around events. And we're seeing a lot of consequences that are flowing from President Trump doing that. I mean, look, NPR has been defunded. PBS has been defunded. Colbert is retiring. Joy Reid is out at MSNBC. Terry Moran has gone from ABC and now admitting that they are biased. CBS has now made some commitments to us that they're going to return to more fact-based journalism. And so I think you see some lashing out from people like Kimmel, who are frankly talentless and are looking for ways to get attention.